Join us as we explore a topic that has stirred debate in educational circles worldwide: standardized testing, a concept that is as old as education itself, yet continues to spark conversation and controversy. So, what is a standardized test? In its simplest form, it's a test that is administered and scored in a consistent manner. The questions, conditions for administering, scoring procedures, and interpretations are consistent across all test takers. The purpose? To provide a clear, unbiased snapshot of a student's academic capability regardless of their individual backgrounds or personal circumstances. This mechanism of measurement is designed to ensure that all students are given an equal opportunity to showcase their knowledge and skills. But as with any system, it carries with it both benefits and drawbacks. The question that lingers is, are standardized tests a fair measure of a student's ability? Let's delve deeper. First, we examine the benefits of standardized testing. Now, when it comes to standardized tests, many educators and policymakers sing its praises. And there are indeed some compelling reasons for that. One of the key advantages is that it allows for a level playing field. This means that no matter where you are, whether in a bustling city or a quiet rural town, the test remains the same. It's a universal metric, a yardstick if you will, that provides a consistent measure of academic performance across different regions. This gives us a broad perspective and allows us to make meaningful comparisons. Then there's the invaluable data that these tests provide. Standardized tests help identify gaps in learning, highlighting areas where students may be struggling. This is crucial because it can inform targeted interventions, helping students get the support they need to succeed. It's like a diagnostic tool, identifying the problem so that we can find the solution. Now let's not forget about the teachers. For educators, these tests can offer valuable insights into their teaching practices. They can see which areas their students excel in and where they might need to adjust their approach. This can help them design and tailor their curriculum effectively to meet the learning needs of their students. Moreover, standardized tests can also serve as a motivation for students. Knowing that there's a test can spur students to study and work hard, potentially improving their overall academic performance. But perhaps the most important benefit is the objectivity of these tests. They are designed to be free of bias, assessing students based on their knowledge, not their background or personal circumstances. In this sense, standardized tests can offer a measure of fairness, providing every student with an equal opportunity to showcase their abilities. So, standardized tests seem to offer a measure of fairness and objectivity, but is that the full picture? As with any system, there are certainly some drawbacks to consider, but that's a conversation for our next scene. Stay tuned. Now let's flip the coin and look at the drawbacks of standardized testing. Standardized tests, as the name suggests, aim to measure students' knowledge in a uniform way. But do they account for every student's unique learning style and pace? Not exactly. For some students, these tests can become a source of extreme stress and anxiety, making them more about survival than learning. And we're not talking about the usual butterflies in the stomach here. We're talking about full-blown sleepless nights and panic attacks. In such a scenario, the real focus on learning can become blurred. Moreover, standardized tests can unintentionally limit creativity and critical thinking. By placing a heavy emphasis on rote memorization, these tests may discourage students from thinking outside the box or exploring creative solutions. After all, when the goal is to fill in the right bubble on a multiple-choice test, there's little room for nuanced thinking or innovative problem-solving. But what about our teachers? Unfortunately, they too can fall prey to the limitations of standardized testing. In an effort to ensure their students perform well, some teachers may feel compelled to teach to the test. This is a term used when teachers focus their instruction on the content that will be evaluated in the test, often at the expense of other valuable skills and knowledge. This can lead to a narrow, rigid curriculum that lacks depth and breadth. Furthermore, these tests can perpetuate educational inequality. Students from disadvantaged backgrounds may not have access to the same resources and preparation opportunities as their more privileged peers. This can result in a skewed representation of a student's true academic abilities and potential. And finally, standardized tests often do not account for the full range of a student's abilities. They may be a whiz in the science lab or a prodigy on the piano, but if it's not on the test, it doesn't count. Clearly, standardized testing has its flaws, but does it mean we should do away with it entirely? Teachers are at the forefront of this debate. How does standardized testing affect them? Let's begin by acknowledging the important role teachers play in our education system. They are the ones who interact with students daily, shaping young minds and laying the foundation for future generations. Now, imagine the impact of standardized testing on these educators. On the one hand, standardized tests provide clear, measurable standards for teachers. This can be a boon for educators as it offers a specific target to aim for, a clear benchmark to measure their students' progress. It's like having a roadmap, providing a sense of direction and purpose. Furthermore, these tests can hold teachers accountable, ensuring that they are fulfilling their duties and responsibilities. After all, if a student's performance is subpar, it could indicate a need for the teacher to revisit their teaching methods. But as they say, every coin has two sides. While standardized tests can provide clear standards and accountability, they can also place immense pressure on teachers. The stakes are high, and the consequences of not meeting the set benchmarks can be severe. This can lead to stress and burnout, affecting not only the teachers themselves, but also their ability to effectively guide their students. Moreover, standardized testing can limit a teacher's flexibility in the classroom. Teachers are creative professionals, and part of their job is to adapt their teaching methods to meet the unique needs and learning styles of their students. However, with the pressure to teach to the test, this creativity can be stifled, potentially leaving some students behind. It's clear that standardized testing has a significant impact on teachers. It can provide clear standards and accountability, but it can also lead to pressure, stress, and limited teaching flexibility. Teachers are pivotal in shaping students' futures, and standardized testing can significantly impact their role. Let's remember this as we continue to explore the world of standardized testing and its effects on our education system. So, we've seen both sides of the coin. Is there a middle ground in the standardized testing debate? A question that prompts us to consider alternatives, compromises, and perhaps a new perspective. Let's consider the possibility of integrating project-based assessments into our system. In this model, students would be evaluated on the skills they exhibit while working on long-term projects, which could be individual or group-based. This way, we are not only measuring their knowledge, but also their ability to apply it in a real-world context, fostering critical thinking, creativity, and collaboration. Another promising alternative could be adaptive testing. In this method, the difficulty of the test adjusts based on the student's performance, allowing the assessment to better cater to individual learning levels. This could provide a more accurate picture of a student's abilities than a one-size-fits-all test. How about the integration of portfolio assessments? Here, students would compile a portfolio of their work throughout the year, showcasing their progress and abilities. This would allow teachers to see a student's growth over time, rather than just a snapshot of their knowledge at a single point. What if we also considered formative assessments? These ongoing evaluations provide immediate feedback, allowing teachers to adjust their instruction based on student understanding. This approach favors learning and improvement over mere grading. And let's not forget about peer and self-assessments. Encouraging students to evaluate their own work and that of their peers can foster a deeper understanding of the subject matter and help them develop critical thinking and self-reflection skills. Finally, we could consider reducing the stakes of these tests. Rather than having a single test determine a student's future, we could use standardized tests as just one of many tools to evaluate a student's performance. These alternatives are not without their challenges, and they may not be suitable for every situation. But they present a potential middle ground in the standardized testing debate, a way to retain the benefits of standardized tests while mitigating their drawbacks. Perhaps the answer lies not in extremes, but in balance and adaptation. Standardized testing, a necessary evil or an outdated method? The debate continues. We've journeyed together through the pros and cons of this topic, examining how it affects both students and teachers. We've seen how these tests can provide a uniform measure of comparison, but also how they may limit creativity and critical thinking. We've touched on the pressure it places on educators and contemplated if there could be a middle ground. It's clear that this is a complex issue with no easy solutions. As we wrap up, let's not forget that the core of education is to foster growth and ignite the spark of lifelong learning. So here's a thought to ponder on. What do you think about standardized testing? Could there be a more effective way to measure a student's potential? We invite you to share your thoughts and join the discussion.